Let me ask you about something that your colleague, Senator Elissa Slotkin, said. She said Democrats should stop using the term oligarchy because it's a phrase that doesn't resonate with all Americans. Are you missing a chance to speak to a wider audience, Senator?
There is a war brewing in the Democratic Party, if you can believe it. Here's how Senator Sanders, who has been the standard bearer for the populist progressive wing of the Democratic Party for the better part of a decade, responds to criticism levied at him by junior Senator Elissa Slotkin.
Well, geez, we had 36,000 people out in Los Angeles, 34,000 people in Colorado. We had 30,000 people in Folsom, California, which is kind of a rural area. I think the American people are not quite as dumb as Ms. Slotkin thinks they are. I think they understand very well when the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. When big money interests are able to control both political parties, they are living in an oligarchy. And these are precisely the issues that have got to be talked about. Are you living in a democracy when Mr. Musk can spend $270 million to elect Trump and then becomes the most important person in government? Or AIPAC and other super PACs have enormous power over Democratic candidates? Those are issues that we have got to talk about. That is the reality of American society today.
One thing I like about Bernie, one of a few things, is he ain't difficult to understand. He speaks it clear and he makes it plain. And he's done so since like the late Cretaceous. He ain't esoteric or professorial. He's a crotchety old grump who is absolutely correct. Elissa Slotkin may have literally picked the only Democrat who this criticism isn't true of. Is it true that the Democratic Party can sometimes have a messaging problem and gets lost in the minutia of political correctness and language policing, which is ironically exactly what Elissa Slotkin is doing in this instance? Yes, that's definitely true. But not Bernie. If you listen to him for 5 seconds, you know exactly what his message is. Do you want to live in a country that is ran by and for unelected billionaires, and in some cases, alleged billionaires who are only interested in personally enriching themselves at your expense, or don't you? As simple as that. And yes, is the word oligarchy complicated? Apparently it is. But you would only pick something so small to nitpick if you were afraid of attacking the substance of an argument. And unfortunately, Bernie's argument is sort of difficult to argue.
What's your response to that?
So my response is I agree with everything he said, other than my dad didn't know what oligarchy meant. Like, he asked me what it was about. It's not that I disagree on the concepts or on the principles, and he's right. And that energy that he's bringing is great. It's just that we got to, again, communicate to those folks who may not know what an oligarchy is, like my dad. On the second side of it, just bringing a little alpha energy back into the party, right? And I'm from the Midwest, and for us, leaders like our coaches are just, they've got some alpha energy to them. And I think we've lost some of that in the party, and I want to see that come back.
You know, I don't disagree with Elissa Slotkin here, other than her putting her dad's ignorance on blast like that. We do sort of have a vibe problem. The Democratic Party just isn't really vibing with the American people, and we've sort of lost the thread. However, but the vibes aside, and whatever the hell a little alpha energy is, all that stuff is useless if you don't have anything that you're actually trying to sell to the American people, if you have nothing to sell. And here she talks sort of about pocketbook issues, but she never really lands on what she means by those things or what she thinks the party should stand on in reference to those things. Bernie Sanders has a message. It's clear and it's easy to point to. Elissa Slotkin has a theme and a series of words just kind of smushed together and punctuated by the word alpha. But the funniest part of this whole thing is that she and other people have been pointing the finger of blame at Bernie Sanders and the populist wing of the party as though he was in charge of the party when we lost to Donald Trump a few times. We've tried Elissa Slotkin's drug, just in a different form. It used to be Pokemon Go to the Polls and Corn Pop and all that kind of gimmicky stuff. And now it's alpha energy. But I'm sure that tweak will work this time. But Senator Bernie Sanders is far from the only Democrat to not live up to the Elissa Slotkin standard.
I can't just chain myself to the White House and become an activist full time because you and others here are going to call me for things that you need. All of those things require me to be more than just an AOC. I can't do what she does because we live in a purple state and I'm a pragmatist.
Again, there is a kernel of truth in what Senator Slotkin is saying here. Activism is indeed different from governing. And she did win a state that Donald Trump carried in 2024. But AOC has a plan and a message. And it is okay for Senator Slotkin to have a different plan and message. And you know, if she can't win back the party with something something pocketbook, something something children, something something American flag, something something alpha energy, then my name isn't Susan B. Anthony. Let's hear her message directly.
And I think for me, focusing on pocketbook issues, people's wallets, people's kids.
I listened to the entirety of that Slotkin interview, and I literally have no idea what her agenda is. You could take what she said in that interview and lift it out of this time and place and place it in literally any other time and place, and it would fit right in because it's so generic and devoid of substance that it doesn't make a difference. It's just a bunch of buzzwords that are strung together with air and wishes. It's like a stew made from the shadow of a crow that starved to death. It ain't got no meat. Whereas Bernie, he's clear. His agenda is concise, direct, and understandable.
Caitlin, I think one of the great political crises we face is we really don't appreciate the pain that ordinary people are feeling. You are living ostensibly in the richest country in the history of the world. 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, living under extraordinary stress, trying to put food on the table, pay their rent, worried what happens if their landlord raises the rent, worried what happens if somebody gets sick and they can't afford to go to the doctor. That is the reality.
60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and cannot afford the basic necessities of life. And that's a problem. While folks like Senator Slotkin may find that to be a difficult concept to grasp, folks abroad are not having as much trouble understanding it.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen.
This is a great victory for the first woman president. For the first time in over 200 years of elections in Mexico, with the support of the people, a woman has arrived to power. A leftist woman who is committed to all the needs of the Mexican people.
The rest of the world has been busy electing strong liberal leaders with clear messages as a direct rebuke of President Donald Trump, who has himself been busy campaigning to be Pope and rewriting the Declaration of Peace, Love, and Unity. Mark Carney got elected by being unabashedly and clearly anti-Trump, anti-tariff, and anti-Canadian annexation. Meanwhile, our opposition party here is bickering over whether or not people understand what the word oligarchy means. While it is true that style is important in politics nowadays, it is certainly no substitute for substance, and the Democratic Party has got to figure that out. Donald Trump is a loon and a danger to civilization as a whole, but in 2024, he won on substance. Now, every bit of it were lies, but he campaigned on reducing inflation, expanding the child tax credit, no tax on tips, and free IVF. Now, imagine if someone from our side campaigned on popular issues and was not also simultaneously an existential threat to the whole of humanity. We might just win a few races.